All right. Yeah. Sorry. So what are we talking about today? Talking about what failure even is. Like what even is this, right? Um, the reason I'm talking about this is because uh, I failed pretty pretty badly today. Um, yeah, it was not great. But I think it's an interesting moment to reflect, to sort of see what it means. How can we? How should we react? What are we supposed to be doing afterwards, right? So what you failed. First of all, I think it's important to understand what failure is, right? In the sense of like, what does the word even mean? I mean, we can think of it as um, coming close but not getting it, or just not succeeding. But what is not achieving your goal, right? I guess is what, right. But we fail all the time in that sense, right? I mean, I'm assuming most people's goal isn't to be, the person who eats the chocolate cake sitting on the counter, and yet you do it. Um, and yet, I don't know. There seems to be something different about when we say I failed. You say I failed. I failed. What is that? To me, that's not. The word seems to mean something more than just coming up short. It means something more than, you know, just doing maybe the wrong thing. Like in a class, if you fail, it's not that I missed a assignment. It's not that I got a bad grade on a test. It's that I did not succeed at the class as a whole. Not anything specific. Like it's a larger thing. It seems like when we think about failure. Um, and so I think that's an important ground rule, right? It's important understanding to have. Is that failure is not just something small. It's it's a far more systemic failure, and I think usually what it points to is that we deviated a significant amount or deviated in a significant way from what we expected. That's failure, right? Something with impact. And so when we fail, what do we do? Because, at least for me, right? It's not that this failure is not today I messed up, right? It's that I have made mistakes in the past. I've made missteps, and they have led to a failure. Um, Led to me failing to achieve this thing that I desired most. And I think it's important to say, first of all, yes, to recognize this fact I've failed. To say, is there anything I can do in the sense of like, is this actually it? Somebody said no to me. Well, we're not going to taking no for, like, don't take no for an answer, sure. As in, like, ask again, as in be persistent. But if it's clear that it's not happening, you know, at a point, asking somebody again is just, it's a waste. So, first of all, we need to accept that this is what happened, recognize this is what happened, and then say, what is it that was there, Because it's not just about, we can't just learn from, like, learning from failure is not just like, oh no, I realize maybe I should have, you know, written this essay better. Or maybe I should have, I don't know, spent more time on this thing. Like, that's not all we can learn from failure, from a systematic failure, right? Because that's what we're talking about. I think it generally points to something not aligned in our actions and our goals. And I think when we fail in such a large way, it's time for us to reevaluate, reassess, re-understand those goals that we're fighting for. Like, what is it that we're actually after? What am I after, right? Why am I after it? We have to ask these questions. And it's the perfect time to. Because the worst thing we can do is continue to sort of putter on in furtherance of a thing that we've already failed at, right? I failed. And then you're still sort of limping on, not learning anything, not growing, just trying to numb yourself from accepting it. And it's one of the hardest things for us human beings to do. We have this expectation of how reality is. But when it's so out of line with what we expect, it causes so much pain that we want to still have that hope. We still want to have that little bit, right? The little glimmer of something that's like, oh, maybe, oh, but it's not there often. So we have to accept that, right? And so, as I've said, right, we want to ask this question: why do I care? What is it that I'm aiming at? Am I aiming at the right thing? And so first we need to understand, what am I shooting for? Okay, I desire this end goal. Well, first of all, is this, what's going into this goal? Why do I want this thing? No, it kind of makes sense. I want this. I think this makes sense. This is what I really want. Okay, but now let's start working back. What happened? What led to this failure? And more so, why do I want this specific thing? Often, the specific thing that we're fighting for, the thing we fail at, is not the ultimate goal. It's a means to a further end. And that's the further end we want to always be thinking about, is what is this further end I'm shooting towards? Right? Not just, why do I want? It's like saying, like, why do I want to have sex with somebody? But, like, obvious. Right? But if you want to take a longer scheme look, right? And ask, no, not just why do I want to have sex with this person, but what does this mean in terms of my goals, right? What does this mean in terms of what I value in life? What does this mean in terms of the trajectory, my aim? Reassess that aim. Because the fact is, there is no failure, right? There's coming up short from a goal. And now you could call that failure, sure. And maybe that's the definition of failure. But failure has this idea that we're stopped. Failure is this word that comes along with it, that we've fallen off a cliff. When in reality, you've worked for months, for years, whatever, for this goal. And you think, oh no, now it's all gone. What's all gone? Right? This work that you put in for this one thing? Well, it's gone if you say it's gone, right? But if you say no, that works within me. That has shaped who I am, how I view the world, how I affect the world. Shaped my drive, my person itself. Suddenly we realize it was not a failure. It was not all for nothing. It was for who you are today, right? Why did you put yourself through all that? To make myself the person I am today. So we got to ask, who am I today? What has this made me? How has this improved who I am? Right? I think people often think we learn from failure by like re-examining it. And you certainly should, and I think it's important to do that as well. That's an important fact. But the thing we learn most from failure is from trying. That whole bit of the effort. That's what we learn from. That's what we learn from. The losing part, the end part where it stopped. That just shows you information about this trying part. Shows you maybe, I was a little misguided, and that's okay. Shows you maybe, I was fighting for the wrong thing, something I don't even really care about. But what that time does for you is help create who you are. And it only does that if you say, no, this has been positive for me. This has made me a better person, a stronger person. Right? And so when we reach this failure, when we have this loss, right? We need to understand what information is this telling me? Okay, cool. Maybe I should have tried harder. Maybe this wasn't my right goal. But then act. Right? Do something. What are you doing then? Right? So you're just going to sit here? That's it? You're just going to sit here? Be like, "Oh, I failed. Ooh, that's so sad. Oh." Really? That's what you're going to do? When I was a few years ago, say that, I don't want to tell you. But a few years ago, my grandmother had heart surgery. She told me this. She didn't even tell me this directly, but only a couple weeks before it happened. So for months she hadn't told me, right? I love my grandma more than a lot, at least. Right. And afterwards, I went on this bike ride for hours. My mom told me, and I just left. And I kept repeating to myself, I will not fail, Not gonna lose. Because when we fail, it feels like we're letting all those who helped us, all those who cared about us down. That all that we have done, but more than that, what all those who have cared for us have done for us, and who have sacrificed so that we can be here. That is the true failure. But all they have done for you is only lost if you accept that this failure is the cliff, is the end of you. And my grandma, that same grandma, she once told me, Kai, don't fall on your sword too soon, right? Don't fall on your sword quite yet. And made me see, really, and thinking about it. It's not that we fail. We don't drop off a cliff. It's that we realize a larger goal. We take a step forward towards this end that we were always meant for. And it is only when we get caught up in this past perception of the world, these past feelings, this feeling of complete loss, that we really, truly fail. If we continue to move forward towards what we believe is the better goal, is the right path. Continually reevaluating, asking, is this really the right path? Is this really where I'm supposed to go? But taking steps always towards it, then we have not failed. We have been created. Right? We've been created by those who have given us their time, their energy, their blood, their sweat, right? Created by that time that we gave to this thing that we have now failed at, right? All that has made you who you are. So the only thing really you can ask, only thing you can do, is ask, well, who am I going to be tomorrow? What does this person who I am do tomorrow? Has all that people have given me, all that they have sacrificed for me, made me someone who will lie around and weep for their own loss, pity themselves? No. They didn't sacrifice for that. I didn't sacrifice for that. I didn't give up my time, my energy, my everything for that. No. I have been made, you have been made, into someone who can take action, who can make better choices than you once could, who can take better steps forward. And so that's what you have to do. Failure is only when we decide we're done. Failure is deciding, nah, that's it. Failure's tapping out, you know? That's failure. Not getting the job, that's not a failure. Not applying for jobs. Getting rejected from that one that you really wanted. Saying, nah, I'm not going to apply for a job anymore. Now that's failure. I think often these words get tired. So tired. In my modern beliefs, my modern eyes, upbringing, made me someone who's like, yeah, these words sound trite. In truth, nothing really is that trite. There's a reason for each thing that has happened. If we accept that fact, then suddenly the question then becomes, rather, not, I don't understand why this happened. This isn't my plan. What happened, right? This disparity. No. It becomes a question of, how has this changed my trajectory in life? What little point on a graph is this, right? To show the arc. It's just another moment in the continuum of your life and of the lives of all humans. I don't know. Right, obviously. But it's okay. I hope this has been helpful, at least to some extent. And I hope you realize that you really can't fail unless you give in to that feeling. Sort of like the one unforgivable sin, right? Blaspheming the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, blaspheming God. It's not something that you just do. It's not an action. It's a lifestyle. It's a continuous choice to not act. A continuous choice to not do what you know is right. Just try to be better. That's all you have to do. Just try.